So our perception of how we view things is going to have a tremendous effect on what type of future you're going to have. So view your life not as trauma, as even though you don't wish your life on anybody, because some people's lives have been so, I know I couldn't survive it. Welcome to A Man's Perspective. Today I'm going to be talking about just life in general. I'm going to be talking about the things that I've learned along my life, what's helped me to grow, what's helped me to become the person that I am today. I hope that in some way it's able to help somebody. I know at work I get asked, and then on the streets too, I get asked a lot about how to make life easier, how to make life better. And it's our perspective that dictates a lot of how we live our life. And having that right perspective is about seeing things a certain way. That's about what you've been trained or what you've been taught is good or bad, right or wrong. If you've been watching this podcast for any length of time, you've noticed that I've talked about the Spartans, because the Spartans have had such a tremendous impact on me. So even though you've heard it before, I'm gonna say it again. The Spartans impacted my life because years ago, I was in my early 20s, I heard about the 300 at Thermopylae. And at the time, I thought it was just folklore. I thought it was just motivational talk. Because anyone who's seen the riots can see that once 500 officers or cops want to mow through 1,000 people, they do it in 20 minutes. It's very simple, especially if they have horses. They can do it in 5. So for 300 soldiers to hold off an army of 40 to 45,000 was just, it's an unbelievable thing. It can't happen. At least at the time I thought it couldn't happen. So then later on in life, I was asked about the Spartans of Thermopylae again. But this time I decided to do some research, and I found out that it was true. The Spartans, 300 Spartan soldiers, did hold off 40 to 45,000 Persian soldiers for about 3 days. And just being in awe of that, I started just looking and researching more about it, reading more about it. And the reason why I believe, and again, this is just my interpretation, the reason why I believe the Spartan soldiers were able to hold off 40 to 45,000 Persian soldiers was because of what they believed, because of how they perceived life, how they perceived their actions, other people's actions, and what they perceived to be trauma. The things that the Spartan soldiers or the Spartan citizens or the Spartan males had to do to become citizens was tremendous. It was tremendous. The boys were thrown into the woods at 7 years of age with some basic life survival and then told, hey, you got to make it. And when you're 12, you can come back into the city and run this gauntlet type thing. And then you can begin your training to become a Spartan soldier, to earn your right to citizenship. So a lot of them died from 7 to 12 in the wilderness, I should say. Just imagine you at 7 years old trying to survive in the woods, trying to forge, and they weren't alone. They formed bands and stuff, but still bands of 7 to 12-year-olds surviving. Can just imagine how difficult that would have been. But they didn't see it as trauma. They were brought up since they were little kids that this is a rite of passage. This is what makes them Spartans. So they didn't, I'm sure they were afraid. I'm sure there were, some didn't want to do it. I'm sure some wished they didn't have to do it, but they did it anyway because that was expected of them. So once they survived that, they came back into the city at 12, ran this gauntlet that killed some of them. It was so difficult. And now imagine you at 12 years old running this maze, this gauntlet where things were coming at you, rocks, weapons. You had to run different trials, and some of those trials could kill you. And you had to overcome that pain, overcome that suffering. At 12, you imagine most men in their 30s can't do that now. But they did it at 12. And again, they didn't see it as trauma. They didn't see it as a horrible thing that they had to go through. They saw it as their perception of it was a rite of passage, something that made them men, something that turned them into Spartan soldiers. So now you survive the woods, you survive the gauntlet. Now you get to begin your training. You were assigned a soldier that was significantly older than you. And this soldier's job was to teach you to be a soldier. And his job wasn't to pat you on the back, to tell you you're doing a great job, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, buddy. It was nothing like that. I'm sure there was portions of it that were like that, but a majority of it was trauma. Oh, I don't even want to say trauma. A majority of it was hardship, struggle and hardship, things that we would now consider to be, a criminal act, things that now we would separate men because the other inmates will kill them. And they were doing this to 12-year-olds, to 13-year-olds, to 14-year-olds. So can you imagine going through that and not seeing it as a horrible thing, as a trauma, as like, oh my God, poor me. To see it as a rite of passage, to see it as a growing experience, to become more, an experience to become more. So now you survived all of this, and now you can become a soldier. Now you're a Spartan soldier. And I remember reading stories of Spartan soldiers being captured by enemies, and the enemy trying to torture them, and the Spartan soldiers laughing at their enemies because what they went through as a kid was worse than what they're trying to put them through. And the enemy soldiers getting so bewildered about what was going on that it gave the Spartan soldiers the upper hand, and they ended up killing them and walking away. I've read stories of Spartan soldiers, of people or races of people that have fought Spartan soldiers, and their stories have Spartan soldiers still fighting with 3 spears in them or swords in them, and they're still fighting, killing people. It's their perception of life. It's the Spartan soldiers' perception of what they went through that made them so powerful and so feared at the time. And I'm willing to bet that it was their reputation that the Persian army was more afraid of than the actual soldiers themselves. So our perception of how we view things is going to have a tremendous effect on what type of future you're going to have. So view your life not as trauma, as even though you don't wish your life on anybody, because some people's lives have been so, I know I couldn't survive it. The fact that you're surviving what you went through means that you're a warrior, you're a soldier. And don't view your life as a victim. Don't see yourself as a victim. See yourself as the warrior that you are, the survivor that you are. See your life as a tool to teach others on how to survive, how to get through, how to become more. Everyone has a story or an incident that they've been through that's made them stronger. They're interpreting that incident in the wrong way. That's turning them into victims. But if you just change the way you view that incident or incidents, you can turn it into something great, something fantastic, something that's going to help, that's going to be beneficial to you and to other people. So view your life not as trauma, but view your life as badges of honor. View your life as something that, man, I got through this. If I can get through this, I can get through anything, because that's the truth. That's the reality of life. The things that we can get through, that we got through in our past, help us to get through more in the future. And not only get through, but teaches us how not to become that victim, how not to be into those situations where we're going to have those things happen to us. But we need to separate ourselves from them and see them as training, not trauma. Not internalize them so much and poor me, poor me, poor me. So that's had the biggest effect on me and my perception of life. So I hope that we can all find a way to not perceive ourselves as victims, but perceive ourselves as what the truth really is, as this amazing, this wonderful, this warrior, this almost godlike creature, because we are. So the way to do that, I know it's easier said than done. The way to do that, the way I did that, was a lot of self-reflection. A lot of people can't be in a room by themselves. So what I started doing is I just started looking at myself in the mirror. And for years of my life, the only way I could look at myself in the mirror was to look at specific things. Like when I was brushing my teeth, look at only my teeth. Or when I was combing my hair, look only my hair. I couldn't see my whole face. So one way to start is to start looking in the mirror. Look at your eyes, look at your eyebrows, look at your face, and don't think negative thoughts. Look at your face, look at your eyebrows, look at your cheeks, and think positive things about them. As a matter of fact, for 6 days, look in the mirror and for 2 minutes, compliment one thing about your face that you like. Whether it's your eyebrows, your cheekbone, your teeth, your upper lip, your lower lip, your nostril, whatever it is, your hairline, your earlobe, whatever it is. Compliment that for 2 minutes, for 6 days. And then you can start looking at other parts of your face and saying good things about it. So changing yourself and changing how you perceive yourself is the first step. So once you've done that, once you've taken 2-3 weeks to look at yourself in the mirror and compliment yourself, now start thinking back about your life. And start thinking about not so much in the way that you feel about it, the emotion that's attached to whatever happened, but write it out. Write it on a piece of paper, and you're going to burn it at the end. So put as much stuff in detail as you want about it. Write it out, and first find things that are illogical about it. Like you might write, I'm weak for letting this 85-year-old man beat me with a belt or something. Okay, no, that's illogical. So you can say, oh, okay, that's not logical because I was 12 or I was 10 or whatever. So once you realize that it's not logical, it makes no sense, cross it out with a pencil. And look for all the illogical statements in whatever you write out. And then once you've crossed out the illogical statements, read what's left and see how it's powerful. What's left is powerful. What's left is great. And then close your eyes and repeat to yourself what's great about it. Repeat to yourself what's great about it and let that greatness overcome you. Let those feelings, those great feelings overcome you. Feel that greatness. Feel that wonder that you have about overcoming that incident. And that's not overnight. That's not an overnight thing. That takes a while. You're going to write out what happened to you at least, I don't know, it took me probably like 50 times each incident. But write it out, cross out the illogical things. And then once you've found all the illogical things, read what's left and accept how wonderful it is, how great it is that you survived that, and how strong you must have been to survive that. And once you start to change those perceptions, look at everything in your life that happened. Look at all the things that affect you. Another thing that you can do too is breath work. There's so many things in life that help us. God, I'm jumping all over the place. It's my ADHD. There's so many things in life that can affect us. One is illogical reasoning, or looking for illogical things in our ideas. Another thing is breath work. Another thing is meditation. Looking and being in the moment of what you're feeling, accepting that this emotion. Breath work is great for getting rid of certain emotions that are attached to certain incidents. Like if you think back about an incident and close your eyes, think about the incident and feel what you feel, whether it's anxiety, fear, whatever, feel what you feel. And then look for what you feel in your body. You're going to feel an uneasy stomach, pain in your back, pain in your elbow, pain in your wrist, pain in your fingers, a headache. And tell yourself, okay, that headache is attached to this emotion that's attached to this incident. And then take a deep breath in, a slow deep breath, and imagine that it's clean blue air coming in. And then as you're slowly exhaling out, imagine that you're letting that headache go with it, that you're letting that pain in your fingers or in your elbows or in your stomach go out with that breath, exhalation of breath. So try the looking for illogic in the incidents that happened and your ideas of that incident that happened to you. Try breath work, because one thing may not work for you, but something else may. Try breath work. Try meditation and prayer. Um, Another thing that we have to have is have some kind of faith-based system. You have to believe in something more powerful than yourself. It doesn't. This is just my personal opinion. I think that all religions have some truth to them. I find it difficult to believe that an omniscient, all-knowing God only spoke to one person and said, this is the only one way, when there's 160 different or 160 plus different races on this planet. So I think it's like us humans trying to tell an ant that we love it. Ants communicate through chemical signals on the ground. So we're gonna have to dumb down our message that we love it to a chemical signal on the ground that an ant can interpret. And because we're going to dumb it down so much, it's going to lose a lot. And that's what happens. The message that comes from God, the higher power, from the universe, from source energy, whatever you want to call it, a lot is going to be lost because we're the ants. We're the ones that understand very little. So for me personally, all religions have some truth and some not so good things in them. And we have to take the time as individuals to find the truth in those faith-based systems, and look for whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, all this stuff, outside of yourself. And it's so easy to find. It's so easy to find in a beautiful rose and beautiful, outcrop, and in your pets that you love. It's so easy to find. But use your research and what's around you to find something to believe in that's outside of yourself. Because if you believe only in what you can do, you're going to let yourself down a lot. You're going to let yourself down more than you can think. And we all have this notion in our culture that we're the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. But it's just not true. So try to change your perception by doing those different things to change the things that happen in your life. Try to get rid of the illogic in those things. Find the truth in it. Accept the greatness. Use breath work to get rid of the hormones that are attached to those emotions that are attached to those incidents. Because once you get rid of those hormones, then the pain will go away, our sicknesses will go away, our diseases will go away. And this is just what's worked for me. It's not what's all that's out there. To me, this is just what's the most practical. This is my problem with a lot of religions. A lot of religions just want to say pretty words, teach a man a fish a day, or whatever, all this stuff, all these beautiful words that they say. But very few religions go with you on a one-on-one basis, to teach you the practical ways to do things, the practical ways to view life, to see things, to accept things. You have to do that for yourself. And I know, I see it online all the time. And I'm speaking primarily to men, because I don't know the female experience. So this is for men. If women tried it and it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, it's probably because you're a female, and men and women are different. But this is advice for men. And as men, I know online you see all these super wazoo dudes that are driving all these wazoo cars and seem to have everything together, and have 32 wives and all this different stuff. There are men like that, but that's not everybody. for the vast majority of men, just getting through the day is going to be a struggle. So if you find those guys online, listen to them because their advice is probably pretty good. They're probably really masculine men. But understand that one piece of advice does not apply to every single man on the planet. It may apply to that man or those groups of men, really tall, really built, really good looking guys. But it's not going to apply to the 5-foot guy who's struggling to meet girls because girls don't like short guys. So try to listen to people that seem like they have your best interest at heart, that seem like they want to help you. If someone tells you, if you follow if you pay me $50 a week for my system, I guarantee you're going to be the best of the best of the best. If they're trying to sell you something, it's probably bullshit. It's probably nonsense. And I understand people have to eat. People have businesses to run, to maintain, and to sell. But in this day and age, with so many people offering so many pieces of advice, we have to have a filtration system. Otherwise, we're going to spend our whole lives just looking at potential pieces of advice and never actually looking at the advice or experiencing the advice or living the advice. So I have a filtration system, and that's one of my filtration systems. They're trying to sell me something. Next. Because most of the time, and not all, but most of the time, it's just nonsense to make themselves money. And I know this because I've subscribed to a couple of them, to a few of them actually. And it was just nonsense. It was just like, read this book and read that book and read this book. I was like, what the hell? I could have figured that out on my own. Or that life advice that they try to give is just like, what? It's beautiful words without any practical ways to live those beautiful words. So have a filtration system to filter out these dudes, these people, these dudes. What else? What are the pieces of advice? I'm trying to think about pieces of advice that I tell my friends, tell my son, tell my sons, tell my the people that I love around me. Faith-based system. Check your perception. But deal with whatever you're going through that happened to you when you're a kid. Because everybody has stuff that happened to them when they're a kid. Sometimes it's your parents getting divorced. Sometimes it's significantly more or worse. Use the different techniques to get through that. And recognize, this is the most important to me. Recognize that love is an actual force of nature. We lack the technology to measure it, to see it, to feel it. Oh no, we do feel it, but love is an actual force of nature like gravity. It's around us. It's in us. It's with us. That kind of sounds like The Matrix. Like a line in that movie, The Matrix. But it's true. It's an actual force of nature. And just when you think things aren't going to go your way or work out for you, someone's love for you gets you through it. Someone's love for you helps you grow. Someone's love for you helps you heal. So love is a real thing, and test it. Test it first by you loving someone so unconditionally that you want their life to get better. That no matter what they say, no matter what they do, and don't try with this boyfriend or girlfriend because that's always conditional. But try with the sibling, try with the cousin, try with the niece or nephew. Love someone so unconditionally that you want their life to get better. You want them to become more. And watch them grow. Watch them change in front of your eyes almost. A lot of times we're going to want it to be overnight, but if we just have patience, remember, love unconditionally means you have patience. It means no matter what they say or do, you're not going to stop loving them. You don't have to accept what they say or do, but you're going to separate yourself from them. You're going to, the ignorant shit that they say, you're going to let it go, and you're going to close your eyes and see them in the way that you see them that helps you love them most. Like, for me, when I'm going through really hard times, I close my eyes and I see my kids when they were like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the laughs, the wonderful things that they would do. I close my eyes and I put myself back in those times when they were playing with me and jumping on me, and all of a sudden I can't help but to love them. I can't help but to love who the people that I'm thinking of when I think back about this. So remember, love is an actual force of nature. Love is a real thing. And we're going to figure it out in about 50 years, 30 to 50 years. We're going to have technology to say, oh, look at that person has this amount of love. Or look at all the love over there. Look at all the love over there. So have a faith-based system. Deal with what happened, your incidents as children, as kids. Recognize that love is real and test it by loving someone so unconditionally that you want them to grow, that you want them to be more. And love yourself. That's one that took me a long time to figure out. And even now I struggle with it because I tend to want to meet my responsibilities. I tend to want to meet my obligations, what I'm duty bound to do for my kids. I tend to want to do that first and put myself aside. And I'm not sure that that's right or wrong, but a lot of times I do it to my own detriment. But I don't feel bad about it. I think it's supposed to be that way. No matter what I have to suffer through, as long as the people I love around me that are doing better, I feel better. And it makes whatever suffering, whatever struggle I go through, it makes it all worth it. So love yourself, love the people around you, change your perception about the things that happen to you, change your perception of yourself, do the compliment your face for 2 minutes, compliment your face for 2 minutes for 6 days. And I hope all these things, there's so much more, but I don't know how to categorize them in my head. And right now we're kind of just freeballing it. We kind of just turn on the camera and then say something because we got to record something. So if anyone has any specific issues that they're going through, any specific incidents that they wish they had some guidance on, I'm not a clinician. I'm not a psychiatric professional, but I will do my best to give you advice that I feel may help. If you have an incident that I think I can't do anything about, then I'll tell you there's nothing I can do about it, and I'll recommend you to someone that can, most likely a professional. But if a lot of things in life, it's just because we need someone else's eyes, someone else's ideas, someone else's words to give us that push into the right direction, that push into the right emotion. So if you have something that you feel and I know you don't want to put in the comments because a lot of things are so private that you don't want everybody to see. Just in the comments, put your Instagram and I'll direct message you. And then we can communicate either via Instagram or, a phone conversation. But I'll do my best to try to help. And right now I recognize that it's just my family that's primarily watching this. So it's going out primarily to my family because, like myself, I'm pretty fucked up. Most of my family were pretty messed up too. So, and I love all of them and I want to be there for them. So if you're not my family and you still want help, I'll try to do my best to be there for you too. Because I love you too. And that's a lot of people don't like hearing that or aren't comfortable hearing that, but I do love you too. And I want you to know that. Well, I'm not sure what else to say right now other than thank you for listening. Thank you for, taking the time to hear my words. If you like what I say, please like and subscribe. Please tell your friends, tell your family about what I have to say. If it means something, if it's meaningless to you and you want to flip me off, that's cool too. Just give me the finger in the comments. I won't take it personal. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Like and subscribe. I know that I love all of you.